Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the new Just Art palette by DEDE or DEDE Signature. I have heard it pronounced both ways, so just in case, hopefully one day we'll get like a full-on for sure no, but just in case, I do want to specify that. This palette does retail for $53. You can use a discount code as I did. There are definitely tons just to save yourself some money. So this palette is completely 100% magnetic, something that I really have enjoyed that the brand has done for quite a long time, especially to keep it quite affordable. Being magnetic and also having really high quality shimmers, that is something I really love about the brand, as well as their mattes are incredibly buttery. Just to start off, I did go ahead and do some swatches on my hand. I hope you're able to see decently well. I think so. My swatches are never, like my lighting is never great, but hopefully one day it will get better. I am planning to move in the future, coming up like in less than a year. So hopefully I'll be able to get some better lighting so you can see some swatches better. There are definitely swatches on Instagram, places like that, if you would like to see some better swatches, if you are curious about that. Did I show you the palette? I think I did. So this is our lovely color story. So today's video, I'm sure you saw the title. I'm going to be doing 3 different eye looks. This is one of the looks I did. Came out a little more fall than I was expecting, but you know what? It's who I am to my core. So I'm so excited to do that. I really just, I guess a little bit about the palette. I really love just the idea of it. I love like how it looks. It's very cute. It makes me feel very creative. And the color story is actually quite interesting. I feel like it's a nice mix of pretty bold colors mixed with some more, a little bit, I want to say muted colors. Like the yellow itself is a pretty vibrant yellow, but it's not like super yellow. It's like, I feel like even looking in the palette, it's yellow, but it looks a bit softer. And I find that quite interesting and unique. Like, I think even this marbled to me appears like it pulls a bit more kind of blue toned, I guess you might say. And I really kind of like that. Like, I feel like it really is just kind of challenging my creativity, which in a way I love it, and it does really make sense for the idea of this palette, and I'm really just having a lot of fun with this. So I think that is all that I wanted to say, so let's go ahead and roll into our 3 looks.
For our first look, I really wanted to do something kind of with like the purples and the blues of this palette, so I'm going to start off with this shade here called Weinstein. I'm using kind of this fine flat shadow brush. This is by Glamlight, and I'm going to run some of this underneath my lash line, stopping where that colored part of my eye is, and then I'm just gonna start winging it up. Moving to the upper lash line, I'm gonna take kind of this longer pencil tape brush. This one is by Morphe, and I'm gonna start working that same shade in through the crease, taking it to the same space to that colored part of the eye, and then I'm just going to fill in this shape, taking it to the same colored part of my eye. Next, I'm going to dip in with Blueprint. Using that same Morphe brush, I'm just going to start working that throughout the crease, and I'm just going to stop where that colored part of our eye ends here in the front. And just going back in with dabbing motions to really get that pigment. And then when I get to this like outer corner area, I'm just going to buff to get the 2 colors to blend in together. Doing the same thing with the same brush on the lower lash line. For the outer corner, because this shade is kind of similar to this purple, I'm going to have my brush kind of tapped off so I don't have too much of that blue, and I'm really just going to use this to start to transition out that purple. I kind of want it just to be a little bit of the blue. We're going to use a different blue shade that's a bit lighter. I just want it to be softer and not as pigmented. And do the same thing on that bottom outer corner. I think this blue shade might be a bit deeper than this shade, like, tonally. I don't know if it's fully noticeable, but at least to my mirror it kind of is. So I'm just going to take a little bit more of Weinstein, just kind of rebuild that up to get as much pigment as I can for it to feel a little bit deeper so that it doesn't look kind of odd, if that makes sense. For our last of the mattes, I'm going to take Sky Wash, and I'm just using this kind of fluffy brush. This is by Odin's Eye. I'm going to start by working some of this into the inner corner of the eye, and then just working it around the shape. And then so far, my first review, I guess, playing with these is going to be very standard to what I feel about DEDE Signature. Is very pigmented, very easy to blend, which I love. And some along the lower lash line as well. Next I'm going to go in with the DEDE Signature Lock and Glow Primer. And I'm just taking this Low Cornell paintbrush. I do believe this is natural fiber. I have had this in my collection for such a long time, and I am realizing this is like my ultimate favorite brush for applying shimmer shades. It picks up shimmer shades literally so freaking well. And then I'm just gonna let this primer set for about a minute, and then we'll be back to apply our shimmer shades. First shade I'm gonna dip in with is Pigment Party. Using that same brush, I'm just gonna start working this into the, I'm gonna say half of the lid. This is such a pretty shade. I really like it. These are the same shimmer formula that I have come to love from DEDE Signature. And then next we're gonna take Aqua Drip and apply that into the inner part of the eye. I mean, hello. That's just really gorgeous. Alright, here's our completed look for day number 1. I am loving how this turned out. So pretty so far. I am loving this palette. Like, even this cover art is just gorgeous. This palette. So good. I cannot wait to create another look with it. For look 2, I really wanted to focus on this column up here, but if you know me, I tend to like to keep things a little more dark, so I did also bring in like this brown shade. So let's actually start with that shade, which is called Ink Spill. For this look, I'm predominantly using just a flat shader brush. I'm just going to start by applying that shade to the lid, just taking it to where that color part of the eye is. And then I only want to take it up into my crease to where when my eye just like sits naturally open, you can still see a bit of it poking out. And then I'm going to do the same on the bottom, just add a teeny bit. I brought a little too far, but that should be okay. And then kind of another trick to find out for your outer corner, or what kind of works for me, is I'll kind of just add color until I feel like I get to a good like point of where I want it to stop. And then I just have a clean towel, so in between shades I'm just wiping off my brush. Next we're going to go in with Primary Love, and I'm just going to apply this shade right next to the brown, slightly overlapping, and you can kind of use your brush. What I'll do sometimes is pull a bit of that brown into the red to create a more like blend. And I'm just taking this shade probably about halfway, I think, to the pupil, that black dot in the eye. And then to work some of the shade around the crease, just same brush, I'm just going to use just the tip of the brush. It's interesting, I was actually watching a video last night by Cole of the Ball. If you have not checked them out, definitely check them out. They did a one brush tutorial, and I'm like, I did not do that on purpose this morning, but I was like, oh my gosh, we're almost like doing it. They did like a blending brush, but I'm realizing a flat shader brush is kind of fluffy. Does the trick too. And then I know I didn't say it, but I'm just taking the same brush, or the color underneath the lash line as well, just stopping at that same spot. Next, dipping in with Ochre Mood, it's like beautiful orange. And I'm just going to take this almost all the way to the inner part of the eye. I'm going to leave room because I am going to add in that yellow. And you can just see, even in this moment, how pigmented these shades are. And just repeating the same steps around the edges. I feel like a lot of my looks lately, on accident, are becoming like so fall themed. And it's like, it really is not on purpose, but we'll call it a happy accident, because if you do not know, I love my Halloween time. Or my fall time. Low-key, I kind of feel like fall is probably, like, fall/winter is definitely my favorite time of year. Like, anytime the weather is cooler, so even spring, like, even right now, we are in summer, but the weather is a bit cooler, and I appreciate that. And I just realized, I probably will try to remember to mention it in the beginning of the video. I am filming this before work, and I just realized that I don't have my mic on. I literally just have the mic that's on my phone. I'm just taking a clean blending brush just to start blending out these edges. I don't have my mic on. I just have my phone's mic, so I really apologize. We'll try to remember for look 3. So that is extremely my bad. I really do apologize. I hope the quality is not too bad. Lastly, for the mask taking Canvas Pop, and just applying that into the inner corner of the eye. Just for a little pop. going in with the Lock and Glow primer, and then once finished applying, I'm gonna let this set for about a minute. First for the shimmers, I'm gonna take Gold Brush, just tap in on the center of my lid. Now I am colorblind, but I'm really curious, is this a gold? I thought it was an orange, but I guess I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if I am wrong. But hey, I think there's a little bit of orange, and I hope I'm right. And I do think that it is pulling, at least from adding that other orange shade. And then I'm going to take our brush from before, dipping a bit more with that dark brown, just to help to transition. You can also just use your finger a little bit to tap over to get that transition. Next, dipping in with Gold Leaf and adding that to the front half of the eyelid. I love literally every time how good these shimmers are. They're just so pretty, so sparkly, just really, really nice. Here is look number 2 completed. Loving this so much. It is giving, again, I did not mean to, but as you said in the video, it really is giving me kind of fall vibes, which I love. Pigments went on so beautifully. Love them. And again, of course, like I said, the shimmer is so good. Loving this palette literally so much. Let's go ahead and move on to our last look. Alright, here we are back for our third and final look. As you can see, I kind of did something purpley and green today. I did do that the other day with a Nomad palette, but I swear, I feel like this palette, like, it was not what I was expecting to create some looks that I've been creating. But I really love, and I hope that this video honestly shows you in a way how versatile this palette, or just any, you know, a lot of palettes themselves can be. If you do not know, I'm a massive, like, Halloween, Springoween, Halloween, or Summerween, all the weens. That's not a word. But all the, you know, festive kind of holidays, and I think that I'm really kind of feeling that as it nears August 1st. That's when I start celebrating that time of year. And so I think that's just what I'm looking for. And I'm really, in a way, excited that I was able to create this fun look. So let's get started. First, I'm actually using the Lock in a Base by DEDE Signature. I, a lot of times, don't show myself using a base, but I have been. So I'm just going to use, I guess, just kind of show you how I would. Now, one thing I'm going to say with this base, at least in my experience of using it, just if you are kind of curious, is that my shadow will last all day. It does create kind of that base, neutralize the lid. I do not believe that this has any type of like sticky qualities to it. Not necessarily that you may want that. I'm not fully sure. I'm looking at this in a way as kind of like a concealer type product. I unfortunately don't have oily eyelids, so, or I guess fortunately, but so if you do, I can't 100% attest that that won't be an issue. It does feel different than another product that I do love to use, so if you're not new, you know that I love the MAC Paint Pot. I do feel like that one sets down, really doesn't like crease at all. This one, and it might possibly do it, like as I have it laid down right now, it does feel set. But as I usually work through my eyeshadow, when I did get to the front part here, I did have to re-tap it out. Now, that could be because I used too much product or whatever, but I did just want to let you know if you are curious about like this primer and my full-on thoughts. So I'm going to start off with the shade Evergreen Ink, just using this pencil brush from Melt. I'm going to start working some underneath my lower lash line. Now, oops, sorry if I'm covering you. You will notice this look, I am going to pretty much replicate similarly to how I did yesterday. So I'm just going to start starting to wing it out a little bit. I did change one part of it, which we will get to in a second. Switching to the same flat brush we used yesterday with the same shade, I'm just taking it to the same area of the eye, so just to that colored part of the eye, and then fill in the shape. For the next shade, I'm going to jump in with Violet Theory. It's a really vibrant purple. Love this shade so much. And I'm taking that same pencil brush, just wiped off, applying it to that underneath part of the eye, the colored part. Just really stamping to get that pigmentation. I don't know if I said when I was applying the base, real quick, I'm just going to take this along the edge. But the white base, I did just take any of that excess product that was on the brush and run it under the eye. I know I showed that on camera, but just in case if you're watching or if you're not able to see,
that is why, or like that is what I did. So one thing I will definitely say, and I did show kind of in my last video where I did 3 palettes, 3 looks for Summerween, but a lot of times colors like these, like green and purple, really aren't going to want to mix together. But I do feel like with just some tapping motions and kind of wiggling your brush, you almost create this custom shade. And then as well, I did say in that last video, just in case you didn't see it, I do feel like too, a lot of times if colors are within that same tone, if that makes sense, so I do feel like these are both kind of a mid/slightly deeper tone, they a lot of times can kind of blend in a bit better with each other. Now granted, you could always go back and forth with the colors too if you really want to get a more seamless blend, but I feel like it really helps to make the look work better. Same thing with the flat brush. I'm just going to apply all over the lid, just that colored part, and just taking it around the green. I really feel like this purple shade, in a way, like doing this, like adding it around the shape, kind of makes the green look pretty dark. Like on this side, I feel like it looks really dark. So I'm going to be curious to see, like, as we continue like working on this look, what is going to happen with this shade. It possibly might be like the purple and the green just kind of make it look darker. I think even now it's kind of taking shape. I just think it's like so cool, because if I would have just used this with like another green shade, it probably would look different, which I don't know. I just find that so fascinating with just colors in general, but especially with makeup, it really honestly makes it really a lot of fun. So next color, I am going to color repeat from my first video. The main reason is I did want to use this like pinky purpley shade, but it is, I think, a little bit too pastel, so I feel like it does need something in between to blend out that purple. So I'm actually using the shade Sky Wash. So I did use that in the first video, or yeah, first look, I believe. But this is really just going to help to kind of gap that color. And I think it just adds a little bit of extra fun to the look. I'm just going to be adding just a little bit. So same thing, pencil brush wiped off, just adding a little bit just to help it to soften. I'm really excited to start filming shorts with this palette. I am going to be repeating, not looks per se, but shades. I feel like I really try hard in my long form videos to not repeat the same shades, especially in a palette like this that has so many shades, because I want to show you, you know, kind of what you can create with it if you are thinking of buying it, especially if you have a similar aesthetic to myself, or even if you own some of the similar color story, you just want to like see what you can create. As I'm blending, I'm also like so excited to pull in, oh my god, I'm like blanking, the Noricorn palette. I really want to add that in with another CBD palette that I have, because I know I've been wanting to create shorts with that one too, and I think that'll just be really fun. And I think too, just palette combining is such a fun way too, just to like make continuously different looks. I love it. Soft Sketch is this light shade. Popping this into the inner corner. I really love the names that they chose for some of these shades, or like most of these shades. I think it's fun. It really, especially like as an artistic person or like a creative, I feel like I'm like, this is like my paint canvas. Like I love this cover art. It's so pretty. Like it's, I wouldn't say it's like so simple, because it's not, but like it's just, I don't know, it's cool and it feels exciting and just different. Back with our flat brush, and hopefully you can see that transition is just a lot more seamless. On the other eye, when I was like creating the look, it was a struggle, so I was like, oh, I'm definitely happy I made this choice. What I love too with a look like this, or really just doing kind of like, if you follow the steps that I did, I really do feel like it makes it almost effortless, and I like that. Like with makeup, I want it to feel easy, and as they finish it, then I'm like, okay, we are like good. So lastly, for the mattes, I know I kind of mentioned it in the beginning, we're gonna do a little different. I'm gonna go back in with Evergreen ink. I just realized the names again. I feel like it's like, I think I was like carrying them, and it's like, I don't know if anybody has that, where it's like sometimes it takes a second to process, and I'm kind of like, oh my god, like all the names are like paint kind of vibe. I love that. I'm taking this small brush, this is by Singe, and I want to work some of this color just throughout the crease, just to create some additional depth. I love this so much. It's so pretty. I also just love, and I think it's honestly really fun that, like, even myself, like, looking at this palette, I had no clue I could create this. And I think that that's something in a way that I kind of love, that, like, creatives, you know what I mean, or whatever, that we're able in a way to do that, to, like, I've seen some other friends create looks with this palette and their looks are just completely different, and I love that in a way. Like, it's, for one, it's inspiring to see how other people do stuff, but for two, I think it's just so cool how we are all able to have, in a way, our paints or whatever and create something, like, totally different. And I just think it's so cool. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take some of the Lock and Glow primer, tapping that in to the lid. I'm really just going for the mobile part of the lid. So mainly what I mean by that is just my main, like, eyelid. I'm gonna stop where that colored part of the eye is, and I really want to just basically apply it to the part that, when my eye is, like, open, that part. I think it'll naturally go a little bit higher, but I kind of want it to stay focused. And then I'm just gonna let this set for about a minute. Now for the fun shimmer, we're gonna start with the shade Mixed Medium. And then for these, I'm actually going to use my finger. You can use a brush, I did, but I feel like the pigment just picks up a bit better with a finger and gives that pigmentation that I want. And this shade is just perfect. Like, when I first put it on a second ago, like on the other eye, I was like, okay, what? Because it's like, I feel like I love sometimes just playing with makeup and creating something that you really just have no clue how it's going to turn out. And then when you do it, you're like, wait, what? Like, it's like made for this look. That's low-key how I felt. I'm just taking that brush real quick that we used earlier, just to kind of soften my shimmers. It's just something I love to do. And then lastly, I'm going to take this beautiful marble shade here. It's called Abstract Chaos. I love that name so much, yes. I'm just going in with my finger and applying it into the inner corner of the eye. Such this pretty, like, honestly, I don't even know what color this is. Again, hashtag colorblind. But I feel like maybe there's, like, some silver, blue. I don't know. You know what? Let's just be honest. It's pretty. That's what we'll say. We'll let the people who aren't colorblind let me know what color it is. Yell me if you want to. Alright, and that is the end of this look. Honestly, I love it so much. So let's just roll into the end of the video. 2 thumbs up for this palette. Love it so much. I really cannot wait to create more looks with this palette. It has some really stunning shades. And just like I said, like I said in the beginning, just the standard formula that I'm so used to from DEDE Signature, a superb formula, great shimmer payoff, magnetic, which is always nice for those who want that. I think it's so cool, and I really am enjoying this palette and just the brand in general so much. I would love to know your thoughts down below. Are you going to buy this palette, or are you going to shop your stash for something similar and maybe possibly create some of the fun looks that I created? I would love to know. I hope you're having a great rest of your day, and please subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Leave me a like. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you on my next one. Okay, bye.